So I know I said I wasn't going to buy very many books this year, but today I had to go to a job interview, and that's always really stressful. And so I stopped at some of my favorite book shopping stops on the way home, and so yeah, I have a 20 book haul because that's a good idea for someone who's trying to read all their owned books. But yeah, that's what happened. This first stack is from Ollie's. I'm not sure if everyone has them. We just got a new store, so I hadn't had any experience with Ollie's until one opened near me about 6 months ago. And they have a lot of discounted things, sort of like Big Lots, only they also have a pretty large book section. So I'll go ahead and start with the books I got there first. The first book I got was We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I had meant to read this one when it came out, but it was always checked out from the library, and then it won this award, and then it was still always checked out. And so yeah, I saw this for a very good price. Let's see, $1.99 for a beautiful hardcover book. So that's my first one. Next book is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Díaz. I read this one a few years ago, and I did really like it. It is pretty graphic. It's a little bit of a rough read, but it's definitely a very good book. And I really like this version of it. It has a bookmark and everything. I'm not sure if it was originally supposed to have a dust jacket or not, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like this is the way it came, which is, I kind of like that. This one was only $2.99, so that's a pretty great deal. The next one is one I've been meaning to read, but haven't got to yet, and that's Into the Wild by John Krakauer. Anyways, this one came out quite a while ago, but it's resurged in popularity a few times. It's a nonfiction account about this guy who just leaves everything behind and walks out into the wilderness. So yeah, it's been on my radar several times. I just haven't gotten to it, and so now it should be much easier to get to. And again, this is the same kind of book. It's similar to the way the other one is. It's got the bookmark, doesn't have a dust jacket. It's just a pretty cool format, and I'm pretty happy with this one. It was also just $2.99. The next one is a juvenile fiction book. It's called The Neptune Challenge by Polly Holyoke. Can't remember how to pronounce her name, so I'm going with that. This is the second one in the series. The first one was the Neptune Project, and it was a Sunshine State Young Adult Reader Advisory Board winner last year, I believe. So this was the one that in Florida all the kids voted for as their number one book, well, the sequel to it anyways. So I never got to read the first one because by the time it hit my radar, it was pretty gross already. At least the library copy was. So I saw this second one, it's like, okay, now I can go ahead and justify getting the first one because I'll have both the first and second, and this one was only $1.99 at Ollie's. The next one I purchased is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I still haven't read this one, which is a shame. I should have read this one a long time ago. So now this will be, well, I won't have an excuse now because I just own it now. Before, I've checked it out from the library a few times, but I've always kind of had to return it before I got to it. So yes, now it should be easy for me to get to. And it's another one of those no dust jacket, bookmark, so a nice version. I actually really like this a lot. It was also $2.99 at Ollie's. The next book I have from my Ollie's book haul is by Neil and Jared Schusterman. It's Dry. This one I meant to read when it came out, but again, my to-be-read pile is just so large that I just didn't get to it. But this was just $2.99 for a beautiful hardcover, so I'm really excited about this one. My next ones are from Target. Target had a buy two get one free sale going on, so I went ahead and went through some of their juvenile fiction and found some of the titles that were already on sale, which made that a pretty good deal. The first one I bought was Guts by Raina Telgemeier. I'm never sure. It was just $6.99. My kid just read Smile and Sisters, so I had to go ahead and pick this one up as well. The next one I got from Target was The Babysitter's Club, Boy Crazy Stacy. This is book 7 in the series. The first few were illustrated by Raina Telgemeier, but right now there's a new illustrator, Gail Galligan. That's the right one. Yes, Gail Galligan, who's illustrating them now. So yes, I was thinking she could get into this. I have an Audible account, and I'd gotten her a couple of the audiobook Babysitter's Club, but my kid really loves graphic novels. She's a huge graphic novels fan. So I got this one. I also ordered book 6, but it wasn't available for in-store pickup, so book 6 is going to come later. And then I think there's a box set of books 1 through 4. So I was going to buy books 1 through 4 as the box set. So I picked this one up because it was one of the ones that was only $6.99. My next one I purchased because I felt guilty because I got myself a release day book and didn't get one for kid. This one came out yesterday, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Wrecking Ball. It is book number... Oh goodness, it's back to not having the number on the... Oh, there it is. Book number 14. It's book number 14 in the series. We have all the others except for the Meltdown, which she had, but she lost it somewhere. Who knows where. So anyways, book 14. And this was on sale for just $9 because whenever books are new released, sometimes there's some great deals on them. And that was the case. This was on sale for $9. So essentially I paid like $17, $16 because the third book was free. So that was pretty cool. This next group of books is from Books A Million, a combination of some of their used ones and some of their bargain books. First one is Framed by James Ponti? And this one was pretty popular at the library a few years ago. It's a mystery juvenile fiction book for kids. There's a sequel. I'm not sure if there's also a third one. I haven't paid that much attention, but I saw this one for just $3.95. It's used, but you cannot tell. It looks pretty great. So I was hoping that maybe kid would be into this one. So the next one I purchased was Rump by Shirtliff is her last name. Liesel? Yeah, Liesel Shirtliff. I had this recommended to me a few times, but our library no longer owned a copy, so I've never gotten to read it, but I didn't want to buy it new because I am not sure of the person who recommended it to me, so we'll see. It was only $3. It is a paperback, but if I love it, then that'll be cool. I'll go ahead and pick some more up in the series. So hopefully it's a good one. The next one I purchased was The Wheel on the School by Maindart de Jong, if I'm saying that correctly. I'm not super excited about reading this one, but this was one of the Newbery winners that I have not finished reading yet. I had it in ebook format, but the formatting on the one that I purchased was all messed up. So the font was too small, and if you zoomed it in, then it didn't fit on the page. It was a very awkward ebook. So I saw this one and it's like, aha, it's $2. Now I can just go ahead and read it in paper format. I've almost read all the Newberries. I only have, I want to say 12 left to read, and I'll have them all read. But this was one of them, so I'll go ahead and knock this one out when I get to that shelf, because I am reading these in alphabetical order, any that I haven't read before. So I'll get to that one. I was really excited about because I really wanted it when it was first released, but it was $30 and I just could not justify it, even though it's a wonderful book. I couldn't justify it. I wish I could have. So it's got these beautiful red page edges and the bookmark, and it is the Giver Quartet. I've read most of these. I should rephrase that. I've read half of these. I read The Giver and I read Gathering Blue, but then the third book our library no longer owned. The only way you could read the third book was we had one copy of exactly this, the quartet, and it was always checked out, and there was always a waiting list. So I just, by the time it would come in for me, I'd be on vacation or something would happen like that. Or I would be off for a few days and then it would get canceled and sent to the next person who had it on reservation. So I never got to read the third book. I started reading the fourth book just because I got frustrated and just moved on to it. But then I stopped and, decided to backtrack. So now I will finally be able to read the last two. I'm not going to read it right away. I'm just going to shelve it until I get to the L section of my shelf, and then I'll read the last two. This next stack is from Goodwill. I'm not a super big fan of Goodwill, just because some of their practices aren't something I'm super excited about, but their children's books are generally only 59 cents, and so I do often cave and buy several things there. So let me go ahead and get into this one. First one I bought was The Book Thief. Now this one was 99 cents because it was a teen book, but as you can see, it looks like it was never read. I've read this one before. I really loved it. I just decided to add it to my shelf because my husband hasn't read it before. He started listening to the audiobook but didn't finish it, And, you know, before I know it, my daughter will be the age to read this. And who knows, I actually might want to reread this at some point because I really, really enjoyed this. The next one I bought for just 59 cents is Bridge to Terabithia by Katherine Paterson. I've also already read this one, so I primarily purchased it so that it would be available for whenever my daughter's ready to read it. The next one I bought was Fever, 1793 by Laurie Halse Anderson. So this book blindsided me a few years ago. For whatever reason, I had it in my head that this was a vampire book. It's not a vampire book. So, yes. So, when I was reading it, I kept waiting for the vampires to show up. Which, of course, they don't. Because, gee, that's not what this book is about. So this is another one where I've already read it. But it was only 59 cents. And I thought, you know what? It'd be cool to have on hand. For when my daughter's more like... well, middle school, I guess it's just a couple years away. So middle school, maybe when we touch on more of the darker sides of history, maybe she'll enjoy this one about, you know, one of those fun plagues that comes through. Anyways, it was a really good book, so I don't know if I need to revisit it or not, but, you know, Spouse is trying to read more. Maybe he'll like to read. The next one I bought was Double Fudge by Judy Blume. I am reading the Blume books by Blume right now that are on my shelf, and this is the last one. So right now, this is the last book in that series, so I think the only one I'm missing now is Super Fudge. So I do need to get Super Fudge. I think I might just rent it from the library for now, just until I can come across another one, because unfortunately I own the first and second book, and then I own the fifth book, something like that, or fourth book, and this is the fifth book. So anyways, I'm missing one more, and then I can go ahead and read all of them on my shelf in order. So yes, I need to get one more, but I was super excited to get this one, because yay, almost have them all. Next one is Dork Diaries, Tales from a Not-So-Smart Miss Know-It-All. Yes, that's the one, book 5. My kid is reading these. I will read them when I get to them, but yes, this was just 59 cents at Goodwill, so that was pretty cool. What I bought was The Misadventures of Max Crumbly, Locker Hero. I already own book 2, but I didn't own book 1, and my kid doesn't care about reading them in order, so she already read book 2, so now she'll get the chance to go ahead and read book 1. The next one I purchased was Black Stallion by Walter Farley. This one's probably going to end up gifted to somebody. It's a nice library binding edition, so I'm probably going to gift this to someone since I do own 2 copies of the Black Stallion already, but I really loved this book as a child. I reread it a couple years ago and still liked it, so this is going to get gifted to someone as soon as I hear anyone say they like horse books. This is pretty much going to get handed to them. That's my book haul. I am glad that a lot of them are ones I've already read, or ones that I've already read part of, or continuations of series I've already read. Almost everything that I bought was an item that was already on my to-read list, or was a continuation of something I already owned. So overall, I feel really good about the ones I came home with, and I mean, they were such great deals, it was hard to walk away from them. Though I will say, I need to not buy any more books now for at least the next 6 months, at least till I kind of knock out my juvenile fiction collection. But let's face it, there's going to be another book haul video because I can't help myself.